G'day and welcome to the second video on sketching quadratic graphs. You probably need to go and watch the first one because I'll move through this one a little bit quicker. Again, I've got my graph y equals x squared minus 5x. In this case, the c is actually 0. So if I've got my standard graph of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, in this case c equals 0. It's still in this form, but there's no c. And later on I'll show you an example when the b is actually missing. So again, I just find my x, so my y-intercept, I make x equals 0, and what it ends up happening is I get 0 squared minus 5 times 0, I end up getting 0. So this one actually goes through the origin, so I put in my dot at the origin. My x-intercept is when y equals 0. I already know one of them, I already know that x equals 0, but let me try and find out the other one. So what I end up getting is 0 equals x squared minus 5x. I'm going to factorize that just to become x and then bracket x minus 5. And now I use the null factor law, and this is where people get confused sometimes. That means that, if that times that equals 0, then that means that x equals 0 or x equals 5. Okay, so I end up getting 0, 0 and 5, 0. Okay, so I've got this point and this point here. Okay, now, so I've got my x-intercepts, I've got my y-intercept. All I need now is my turning point. Now remember that there's the two ways that you can get your turning point. You can simply just get the average of the two here, so 0 and 5, the average of that is 2.5. Well, that should be positive 2.5, and then you can find out the y value. So, or you can use the formula. I'll show you both just so that you can see it. So I get 0 plus 5 over 2, which is 5 over 2. I leave it as a fraction because I find it's harder to square 2.5 than it is to square 5 over 2. And I get 5 over 2 squared minus 25 over 2 ends up being negative 25 over 4. You can have a look at that yourself if you need to. And if I want to get the turning point using the formula, remember that y equals x squared minus 5x. So I think I've made a mistake here because that's negative 5. So that makes it positive 5 over 2, and then that's positive there. And then here, c, which is 0, minus, b squared on 4a, so that's 25 on 4, negative 25 on 4, and I get my answer. So I end up getting this point down here. And so I just connect all of the dots, and I'm very happy. Okay, let me show you another example where this time I think that the c will be missing, so the b will be missing. So I've got y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, but in this case the b isn't there, and I've just got the a and the c. I do the same idea, my y-intercept, I get x equals 0, so y equals negative 9, and I put that down there on my graph. If I want to find out the x-intercept, I make y equals 0, so 0 equals x squared minus 9. And at this point, I can use any of the things. I could use completing the square, I could use the quadratic formula, but it's much easier to use the difference of two squares for this case here. So I get x plus 3 and x minus 3. So therefore the answers of the solutions are x equals 3 and x equals negative 3, and I can put those two on my graph there. Now to find the turning point, if I add negative 3 and 3, that's going to be 0, and 0 divided by 2 is still 0. So I'm actually going to get this point. That is the axis of symmetry there. That is the turning point at that point there. But, just to prove it to you, I'll use the other method, and I get x equals negative b over 2a. Now b, remember, is 0. So therefore 0 divided by anything is still 0. And then when I put it into this formula, I end up getting negative 9. So this one, it's a little bit easier, because this point here is actually the turning point as well as the y-intercept. So I just connect my dots, and I'm very happy. So that's those are two examples. In the next video, I'll have a look at one more example where you have to use the quadratic formula or completing the square, and I might also have a look at a negative parabola as well, negative quadratic, because the ones we've looked at have been positive so far. So thanks for watching, and watch the next one.